have some breaking inputs coming in. Gotabaya Rajapaksa has departed from Maldives and is on his way to Singapore. This is what we are learning from our sources on Ground Zero, who have confirmed that Rajapaksa has just now departed from Malé and is on his way to Singapore. Remember, amid hectic speculation that Gotabaya Rajapaksa might just be heading to Poland, we are finally learning that he is now headed to Singapore. Remember, he's been trying to get a safe passage for quite a few days, and after a controversial landing in Maldives, he's now headed to Singapore. Purnima, this is the latest we are learning, that Gotabaya Rajapaksa is now headed to Singapore. Do you have any idea in terms of when can we expect him to land in Singapore?
Well, sources say that the private jet has just taken off from the Maldives, and now they will be heading towards Singapore. In the next 2 to 3 hours, he could land. But the question is whether the resignation letter will then come in, because sources said that only after he reaches a safe destination, which could be Dubai or Singapore, only then will the resignation come in, because he still holds power as the president, and therefore he wanted to ensure that he and his wife reach a safe place. And now, after he reaches Singapore, the question remains if the speaker will then receive the resignation letter, because the speaker said that he has not yet received the resignation letter of Gotabaya. So all eyes on whether the resignation letter will finally come in, even though protesters say that they will continue to protest at the Galle face and vacate all the places, all the government places. They will continue their protest at the Galle face and wait patiently for Gotabaya Rajapaksa to step down, even as there's been a curfew that's imposed till 5 a.m. tomorrow.
Right, Purnima, and having said that, if the resignation is tendered in post his arrival in Singapore, what happens then? According to the constitution of Sri Lanka, it is known that if the post of the president remains vacant, it is the prime minister who is supposed to be appointed as the interim president, and that is what the other question now arises: is what happens next?
Once President Gotabaya Rajapaksa resigns, the parliament convenes, and then parliamentarians decide and vote for one person who could well become the president of Sri Lanka. Until that process is over, Ranil Wickremesinghe is made the acting president. So if Gotabaya Rajapaksa resigns, then the parliament will convene, and then they will discuss and finally have a vote on the front runners for the president's post. And after the votes, the results will be declared, which until then protests here will continue, because right now the ruling party has the majority, and the opposition parties are now struggling to get numbers in their favor, which is why we'll have to see whether it is going to be someone from the ruling party or someone who's a loyalist of Rajapaksa who will then become the president, or whether the chance will be given to the opposition party. Still then, protesters say they will wait and watch, because they don't want any of the Rajapaksa family members or even loyalists of Rajapaksa to occupy the top post.
Right, because going by all the current developments that have been taking place, Purnima, the other aspect that's also being highlighted by the analysts is that Ranil Wickremesinghe, on behalf of the Rajapaksas, is only trying to buy time so that their party actually gets an edge as far as appointment of the president is concerned.
Absolutely, that's also the views that's coming in from protesters, which is why we saw dramatic scenes unfold outside the Prime Minister's office, because they think that Ranil Wickremesinghe could well be the interim president for the long run, considering that the opposition parties do not have the support. Are you confident that someone else will become the president, or do you think Ranil Wickremesinghe is trying to buy time to ensure that he is made the interim president in the long term?
No, we don't like to Ranil Wickremesinghe. He is not suitable to the Prime Minister in the Sri Lanka Prime Minister, but he has no doctrine with our people. he reject the last election. He rejected by the people Sri Lanka. Then that's the big issue. He has no rejected, but he came to the power as a Prime Minister Sri Lanka. That's a political conspire. That's a political conspire. Then another step, he tried to sit the executive president, acting executive president in Sri Lanka. That's a big issue. We asked the Ranil Wickremesinghe, how you come to parliament as a prime minister without you have no power the public, and without the people's like, how you come to the executive president of acting Sri Lanka?
But the opposition parties here don't have the support. But are you still confident that someone else who
Yes.
does not belong to the ruling party will be made the president? Do you see that happening?
Yes, we like as gathering the parliament. Who is the suitable person to sit as a
But
president?
will that happen, or do you think Ranil
Yes.
will continue? for,
Ranil is
little
going to
longer time?
continue capture the power, executive power, but we don't like for that. It's like to be a political crisis, mass political crisis in Sri Lanka. Yesterday we know somebody went to the parliament, the Diyatoina, there are so many gathering. You don't go home. Ranil Wickremesinghe go home. Gotabaya go home. But we say 225 go home
Okay.
with Gotabaya Rajapaksa. We need to create this
New faces.
new
Right.
political situation in Sri Lanka. The system
That's the
change.
word that's coming in, that
Right.
we want all the 225 parliamentarians to go home, and we need new faces, and those faces should come from the people's movement that was started, where you have a lot of protesters
Right.
trying to voice out their opinion
Right,
and
Poonima, we'll keep coming
demands.
back to you as